Moving on. And hello, everyone, and a warm welcome to the panel. And I'm Sophia Yan from Numbers Protocol, and we are here to partner with AAJA for this session. And before we meet our panelists, let me just quickly introduce what we do at Numbers. So simply put, Numbers Protocol is the provenance infrastructure for the internet, and we don't just store the files, we love the history and using blockchain and C2PA standards. And we give every image a digital birth certificate. So this proves that exactly who created, when, and where. And we turn standard images into verifiable assets that can be trusted and paid for. So, and that's bring us to why we are here. And we all know the reality we face today. So in an era where AI can generate news posts, news photos in seconds, authenticity is the only asset journalists have left. But content is infinite, it's free, and often it's fake. So the big questions we are answering today, we try to answering today is when the content is free, how can we make choose a premium product? So this won't be a lecture with any slides. So I want it to be more like a conversation. So we want to build a real survival kit for the modern journalism. So to do that, we have brought the entire ecosystem into one room. So from the camera to the verification and finally to the screen. So let me introduce the partners building the future with us. So first, that will be representing the creator part. So it's Yuxing Cao from PyroImage. PyroImage is Taiwan's pioneering blockchain-based visual news agency. So the combine the photojournalism with digital asset management to protect the creator's copyright. And they tell the authentic visual stories from unique Taiwanese perspective. And Yuxing himself has been on the ground covering the major conflicts, so including the war in Ukraine. So he's currently in Kiev. And with numbers, Yuxing is piloting the Pyro image tool in the field. So he's helping us to prove that authenticity starts at the source. So locking the metadata, the exactly moment he pressed the shutter. And Yuxing, could you please take a minute to introduce a little bit about yourself and the mission from Pyro Image?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. So I'm Xing. I'm a photojournalist, now covering the war in Ukraine. Um, yeah, this is my first kind of my first career, but very the beginning of my journalist career project. So I've learned a lot from here and been through a lot from here. And yeah, and I'm really bad at introducing myself about um yeah, let's bring who I am, and I care about like humanity. I care about the immigration, and I hope that my image or my article can still provide some kind of message to the world that to somebody who doesn't know what's going on here. Yeah, thank you.
Welcome, Yuxing. And next, the representing the science of the industry is Awa. So she's the marketing lead at Fair Picture. Their platform is dedicated to ethical storytelling and protecting the people in the photos. So with numbers, we are collaborating to put the consent on the blockchain. And together, we are building a workflow where a subject's consent is verified and giving the clients total confidence that the images are safe to use. And Awa, I think Fair Picture has a very unique approach to the photography. Could you share a bit about your work and the ethical storytelling?
Okay, thank you, Sophia, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm Arwa Labasi. I'm the marketing lead at Fair Picture. As Sophia said, so my work really at Fair Picture sits at the intersection of strategy, storytelling, and ethical communication. I have a background in helping brands an organization across the MENA region, GCC, and Europe bring their stories to life, whether through creative strategy, content, or full-scale marketing campaigns. But with Fair Picture, it's just all about focusing on real photography using with collaborating with actually local creators to give fair chances to everyone, and knowing that no one can actually capture the best, like any photo better than the local creators, because they know the ins and outs of every region that they would cover for, all through ethical consent and consent management integrated and all, to make sure that everything is true. So, and I'm really glad here to be here today and excited about the conversation we'll have, because as a marketeer, also this AI conversation is big.
Thank you, Awa. And finally, the platform part. So Mark is the CEO of DPN's Media, a 24-hour broadcast network focuses on the new economy. So with Numbers, DPN is taking a massive step. So they are integrating our standard directly into their broadcast pipeline. And they are testing how to automatically recognize and boost the verified news content for their viewers. And Mark, welcome. Please tell us about the defense media and your vision of for the future of the news.
Well, you did a great job doing the introduction, so thank you for that. Yeah, Defiance Media is news and entertainment for the next economy. We really focus on mavericks, innovators, and evolutionaries of the innovation age, and telling the stories of these individuals that are ultimately taking taking stories and their stories into a new paradigm. So we're very excited to be a part of this discussion, and we've been a very happy partner with Numbers Protocol for the last couple of years now. So thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and welcome everyone. And it's an honor to have the full pipeline here today. And I think I will start with the wrong one. The wrong one thing will be the reality check. I think that's the first step is to addressing the problem. So let's get straight into the struggle, and we call it the reality check. And I want to start with Awa, and because it's a kind of special perspective from Fair Picture. And Fair Picture is built entirely on the ethical storytelling, but we're in a world where AI can now generate the perfect diverse faces, and you don't even need to hire real people anymore. So from your perspective, what is the biggest threat you see right now to the photographers and the subjects you try to protect?
Okay, you know what, Sophia? This is something that I've been reflecting a lot on lately, that I even wrote a blog at Fair Picture website about this. So for me personally, and I believe for Fair Picture as well, a photograph actually has always been more than just a visual or a pretty visual. It's a moment of trust between the person telling the story and the person witnessing it. And right now, this trust is breaking, okay, with AI. Today, AI can now create, just like you said, incredibly realistic scenes, especially when it comes to media, with hardships, conflicts, and poverty. Just in seconds, they just look too real for everyone. But again, with no real faces, no real emotions, and no real context. So this biggest threat I see is that these synthetic images start to replace real people and their real stories, and it's all under stereotypes. So for our photographers that we're working with, and I believe across the world, that's worrying, because their work is always grounded with those relationships and the context and ethical practices. But for the people in front of the camera, the risk is even greater. AI gives us the convenience to create fast, cheap images, but it can erase the human story behind it, just the reality. Even in my blog, I wrote that AI doesn't actually create new ethical blind spot. It exposes the one we already have. We've always had this problem with stereotypes. So for years, the imagery is just we're repeating this pattern, but we have more technology that just impacts or just like takes it to another level. So it amplifies it basically. No one asks or no one would stop to ask whose story is this, who consented it, and who benefits from this representation. That's why our solutions at Fair Pictures matter so much, because the whole visual storytelling workflow we have is built around the dignity and the agency. We work with local photographers who know their communities very well, and we use tools like our Fair Consent app to make consent transparent and traceable. So people actually have control over how they are portrayed, and they can even withdraw their given consent at any time. And this is very important because consent doesn't just mean okay, and then I have the right to use what they consented for forever. What worries me is that AI can still bypass all that. Just last week or just a few days ago, we were even discussing this on LinkedIn. Uh, the people started using AI with like testing AI and unprompted, and we see those stereotypes still happening, and even using organization logos as well, which is very, very dangerous actually. So for me, the biggest, but I'm gonna always say that the biggest threat is this threat is not the technology, but how we use it. That's the biggest threat, and we don't want to use the human stories and the real context.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the storytelling, the most important part of the storytelling will be the human, right? Right. Yeah, because human tells the stories. So, and I want to move into the distribution part. This will be to Mark. So you run a 24-hour broadcast network. It's a 24-hour like nonstop, and we see the news clips being ripped and edited and then reposted on social media constantly. From a broadcaster's view, how hard is it right now to protect your brand's credibility when the audience simply just doesn't know what is real?
Well, it's hard. It's hard because the social ecosystem distorts context at scale, right?
Mhm.
We try to counter that with verifiable reporting, transparent pipelines, accredited sources, and a commitment ultimately to accuracy that aligns with the principles celebrated with press clubs around the world, including AAJA-Asia. Look, when audiences don't know what's real, consistency, ethics, and clarity become the core of your brand. We feel our brand has a lot of integrity. We don't do any play-to-pay media, which is another
Mhm.
problem that's rampant. We're certainly not doing influencer media. We're an accredited media outlet. And so we follow those journalistic practices and guidelines, but by using tools such as the tools that are provided by Numbers Protocol, it helps the verification process and helps build the trust in the brand. So yeah, I think that's our best path at this point in time.
Thank you, Mark. And if everyone had the chance to visit DBN's Media's website, you will see how it looks like for the Capture Eye from Numbers Protocol. And the next part, I will go for Yixing. You were on the ground in Ukraine capturing very raw and difficult moments. As a photographer documenting the history, how does it feel when you see the real world images being questioned as fake or it's AI generated online? And why is proving the truth of that moment so personal to you?
Oh, well, I think we are living in an era that's like a float full of questions and the doubts. And questions is getting, I mean, the cost of questions getting lower and lower, and everyone can doubt your picture anywhere, anyone. And you cannot fight against each question, each one to prove that you're providing truth. And I think it is the hardest thing in this moment. And I'm luckily not being through that moment that people question my pictures. And I think that, like the previous speaker said, I think this kind of like the human story and the context behind the picture is more and more important. And this like core ethics really um like it matters especially now. And speaking of the truth, for me, I mean, I'm kind of this kind of person who really like believes things, believing, but sadly, not everyone can do that. And I think the first um moment struck me. I mean, motivated to Ukraine is like one was in Xinjiang in 2014. That is very beginning of the concentrate camp start, and I seen it, and I got a friend disappeared because he used Facebook. So I try to tell this truth to or like to the Chinese friends, and they don't believe it. They question me. They don't believe me, and I think that's really influenced me that to um or eager to see the truth and to provide the truth to others. And I still really trying to work on it. And I think that the story behind the picture really how to say to prove that we are not AI generated or fake pictures. That's what I thought. Thanks.
Thank you, Xin, for your sharing. And I think we all know the pen is clearly real, like from the creator part to the distribution part. So now let's talk about the cure. Like let's walk through the solution. How can we deal with the problem and from camera to blockchain? And so I think the following up will be still using on the urgency. So when you are in the conflict zone, you can't be feeding with complicated tech. And you were started using the Pyro Image tool recently. And does it change your shooting habits, or is it more like a safety net that just to run quietly in the background?
Um, I mean, I'm a photographer, so regardless the work itself or or it's natural, I'm work um at front line. So to be honest, it doesn't change my shooting habits. I mean, my mission is to transport the story and the picture, so it didn't like change my habits in some way, but like you say, I think this kind of like tech tool provide the like safety net, especially like running behind that. I don't have to worry about that. I can just link on my picture on the tool, and that will can just like I don't have to worry about too much about the picture and all the data, all the like digital fingerprints is on it. So that helps me to in this kind of like the afterward work will get less harder, and this kind of tool can help me to in sense of like to answer the question like when people ask me to speak that I can show this kind of picture with all data that is over there. Yeah, so that's what I thought. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that's very important because we're a technical company and we provide the tools. So it's very like grateful that we have like real users feedback and then we can improve the whole tool and provide a better like UI and UX experience for the users. And Awa, that brings me to you for a fair picture. Trust is your product. So how are you collaborating with Numbers to make the trust technical? And how does verifying the origin of the image help you cooperate clients feel safer using your content?
Absolutely. So for us, trust has always started with the people. With the collaboration with real, again, local photographers, with real communities and real consent management. But today, with all this AI and technology, trust also needs a technical layer. So if I say today that an image is ethical is no longer enough. We need a way to show it and prove it. So this is where our collaboration with Number Protocols comes so important, because together we kind of connect the dots uh, and build this ethical side of storytelling with a verifiable technical backbone. So Fair Picture would bring the human process, the local photographers, the context-rich visual storytelling, and our Fair Consent app, which documents the informed consent directly from the people in the images. And the Numbers Protocol brings the tech that makes the trust visible and traceable with the provenance data, the on-chain registration, the C2PA standards, and capture I. So now, instead of just trust stopping at the moment that the camera clicks, we can carry out the trust all the way to the workflow, from capture to delivery, like it's a whole process. So in practice, a photographer would capture an image ethically with the consent documented with the Fair Consent app, and then this capture moment is registered with our and within our collaboration with Numbers protocol tools, anchoring where and when and how the image was created, and all of that info can then travel with the image as metadata. So, which actually acts as a proof. And this gives our clients, be it NGOs, corporate foundations, or even media, something incredibly valuable, which is certainty. They know that the image that we would provide or they would take from Fair Picture is real. They know that the person is consented and the story was created responsibly. And they have the evidence to prove it, because when you click on the picture, all the information and the history just shows with the capture. So just like we were talking about how AI scales the problem, we believe that the province scales the trust. So the collaboration completes this journey from start to finish. We have like a whole ecosystem. And honestly, if we get this right, it becomes not just the process or storytelling, just doesn't become just only ethical, but also effective, because people will regain trust again, because there is a trust issue with all the images and everything that's been communicated in media. So, and this is the real transformation we're looking forward to have.
Yeah, and I think that transparency is the most important part to
Definitely.
get the trust, right? To get the
Yeah.
trust. So yeah, so from creator and to some organizations that helping the creators, and I think that's for the pipeline will be you generate the photos and then you try to put the metadata onto it and then let it tell the story by itself and then make all the uh, happening points on the pipeline transparent. And so next I will move to Mark. So now we have the verified photo and the ethical consent, and defense is taking the next step to integrate these standards into your broadcast. Why is this partnership important for the future of news distribution, and how do you see the changing the way viewers interact with deviance content?
Well, I mean, thanks. The partnership ultimately lets us authenticate every frame of our broadcast at the point of creation. There are 24 frames per second in film and 30 frames per second in video, and in most cases. So a picture is one frame. And so, you're verifying every frame. So by integrating Numbers Protocol and C2PA directly into our production and distribution workflow, Defiance can attach a cryptographic provenance trail, which means ultimately that we're verifying who created the content, how it's been edited, and that it's been and that it hasn't been manipulated. So what how that ultimately translates for our viewers and our audience. This means that they can interact with our news in a completely new way. They're tapping into verifiable media receipts, if you will. They're checking source integrity and trusting that what they're watching is exactly what we produced. It's a foundational shift in transparency, tamper-proof news distribution, and it becomes the backbone for how next generation audiences will consume trusted content.
Yeah. So what we are seeing here is the provenance becoming a shield for your copyright, right? So from the creators to the publishers. So there will
Absolutely.
be, yeah. So now, like next part, I want to go further. So we starting with the problem, the reality check, and then we talk a little about the solution. I won't say like the solution now is perfect. I think because AI is moving so fast, so I think with a like as a reaction to the AI trending, we need to improve more in our tool to make sure everything, like every thing happens in the pipeline and our can keep all the provenance on the blockchain. So, and then the round three will be we've talked about the protection, but now let's talk about more about the value because we know like protection is very important, but the most important thing is to get money, so to get paid. So how do we turn the proof into paycheck? Is I think it's a big question for us because we providing the tools and the technologies to the media, and I know like the proof is very important in AI, but we need to survive. So how how does how can we turn the proof into the paycheck? It's I think that would be the next step. We are next thing that we need to consider it about. So I will start with Mark. So let's talk about the money. So how do you think like the X42 protocol is a new protocol and it's just drag back from the history that can help the AI to pay money, and then the licensing layer will help the network like DVNs actually monetize the content better because previously we know like the licensing can only like pay from human, and in the future if we integrate the X42 and the AI agent had the is able to pay, do you think it will make licensing easier than the complex legal contracts we use today? Mark, you are mute.
That's why I said, show me the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. You know, X402 gives Defiance a programmable licensing layer that turns every piece of content into an automatically monetizable asset. Instead of chasing down rights or stitching together framed contracts and fragmented contracts, we get real-time, transparent, enforceable licensing built into the content itself. That means faster deals, fewer intermediaries, global distribution without friction, and new revenue streams we simply couldn't unlock before. So, yes, easier licensing, but more importantly, smarter and scalable monetization. Just as a side note, the global licensing market is in the billions, right? But blockchain-based licensing or blockchain-based content that is verifiable, um, that new licensing revenue stream, I think, will be outpacing just centralized traditional licensing, properties right now. There's only very few big online licensing platforms.
Quite new, like X42 protocol is quite new, and we're still do some uh, lots of like experiments with our pilot partners. So
Well,
it's good to have your like positive point of
yeah,
view
I
to
mean, look,
fix it.
just to get more specific, I just pulled up my stats from the research that we've done. The current addressable market for global content licensing is around 90 to 100 billion dollars. That's today.
Hmm.
And when you include streaming rights, syndication, AI-driven localization, and global fast channel distribution, the total opportunity expands to well over $250 billion dollars. So the
Yeah.
opportunity with a protocol like X402 doesn't just streamline that market, it unlocks entirely new monetization layers, micro licensing, for example,
Hmm.
automated international rights. International
Yeah.
rights contracts typically are very difficult, so this makes that frictionless, excuse me, and AI generated derivatives from the original IP that you've created. So that could push everything even higher. The upside could be even greater than that in a very short period of time. So we're very
Yeah.
bullish on the tool set and the partnership, and we appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I think that will be next question will be to Yuxing. So uh, for a freelancer, getting paid fairly and stopping unauthorized use is always a struggle. And in a perfect world in the future, what do you hope this technology does for your career like 5 years from now?
Not mentioned 5 years, I'm struggling financial right now. Oh, I think I kind of realized that the our or like so maybe this kind of like a visual or photographer the paycheck is not um s- cannot like catch up the what the technology developed right now, and that we can see like when AI um technology became and more this kind of visual generator comes after, and like Ghiblis or like even I can just feed the AI a lot of picture to create the style, but those are um the photographer cannot get any income from it, and that made me realize that our photos is not just being used in the traditional way, like a paper, like internet, like the representation on the news media that get more way to use it. And so in like 5 years, I would like to see the role that our the method of the paycheck can catch up the speed of the technology develop and can get like make um more deals with like the AI agency or something else. I mean, it's getting so faster. So maybe 5 years there will be something cooler than AI comes out, and we have to try to catch up and to protect the photographer from that, and that's what I'm looking forward. Yeah, thank you.
I'm I'm happy to uh, learn that you're happy for that because most of the creators I know they are worried about that. Yes. So I think the be the licensing part, and then you probably hired from some agency and then take photos and then or do the reporting. But in the future, we all know like AI can generating any digital content, not only the words but also the images. And how does AI do that? Like how can they do that? Is that they have lots of our like human creations to become their like training data to doing that. So I think to integrate the X4 too and like make the AI can pay for that is also a fair way, like because they use the data to do the training and then they use the model to earn money, but the creators, like the generators, can't get any profit from it. So I think that will be much more. It's probably a new way. From optimistic perspective, then I think that's another channel for the creators to getting paid, because not only human can pay, AI need to pay for tackling it.
So the real actually shift we're working towards right now is rebuilding the trust at a moment when the world needs it most. With all this AI and all the trust issues, rebuilding this trust is very important. And what I love about the direction we're taking at Fair Picture right now is that we try to offer a full end-to-end pathway for doing this from start to the end. So it always starts with how the stories are created with the local photographers who understand, secure that relationship through the Fair Consent app, which keeps the people in the images in control of how they're presented. And then from there, our collaboration together with Number Protocols adds this technical layer that gives more transparency and proof of of this trust that we're trying to build. With all the integrations and tools that you guys support, so the trust doesn't stay in the feed, but it travels with the image as it goes anywhere around the world. And then to close this loop, we develop like free tools sometimes and guidances for organizations on how to use the content responsibly. So this is where the white paper comes in that we created with Kate Cardall. It's not just a theoretical paper, but it has practical tools that helps NGOs and communication teams and fundraisers to on a clear framework on how to use actually ethical visual storytelling today. So the paper helps teams ask the big questions of how do we respect the dignity, how do we avoid harmful narratives, and how do we make sure that consent and representation stay at the center of our work. When you put all this together, the ethical visual storytelling production and the app and this integration with Numbers Protocol and the white paper, it just gives you a complete process. It's a full ecosystem and nothing is left hanging. And we keep on adding more layers if needed to make sure that we have this clarity and build this trust. So that's the direction we're building basically now. So it becomes part of the workflow rather than we're just talking or speaking. We're showcasing more practical. We give practical insights more. So for organization, this means that they can communicate boldly without fear of misrepresentations. Our creators, for them, it restores the value of their work in a market flooded with the AI-generated content everywhere. And for the communities, it also ensures that the stories are told with accuracy, dignity, and consent, so nothing fabricated or exploited. And for the industry as a whole, it just moves us from